That is hardcore.
This is hardcore shit.
But for me, it gets harder and harder to resist.
Hey, yo, everybody, welcome to Hardcore Horror with Mike and Bridget. Hey, Bridget.
Mike!
Here we
What's
go.
going on?
We are about to wrap up 2024.
2024, amazing year for horror.
Yeah, it has been a good year for horror. We'll talk about that. A lot of good stuff that's came out. A lot of stuff I haven't even seen. There's been so much stuff that's came out for the year. Still more to come because we're not technically at the end yet. But we're getting close, and so this is our last podcast of the year, and so we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to talk about some lists of movies for 2024. Other than that, though, we also have a guest. Who do we have tonight? Tell us about our special guest.
Oh my God, I am so freaking excited. We're going to have John Philbin. John is a big name actor. He's been in several, oh my God, so many films in general, but a couple of my favorites, Children of the Corn, Return of the Living Dead, amazing. He was at Memphis Monster Con, and we're just so excited to have him on.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to talk to him because that's a lot of horror history right there. So excellent. Looking forward to that. But before we get to that, let's talk about some movies that came out this year. Now, again, I didn't watch everything. There was a whole bunch of movies I didn't even get to. We still have Nosferatu to come at the end of the year. That one could be a game changer. I don't know, but we haven't seen it because it hasn't came out yet. But there's been a lot of movies that I did see and you saw. We're going to talk about some of those, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm kind of like you that I'm going, oh my God, there's so many great movies and still movies to come that we haven't seen yet. So this has been a great year for horror, I feel like anyways.
It really has. It really has been a great year. There's been a lot of good stuff and a lot of different genres and variations of horror that you can choose from that really kind of sink your teeth into if you like different things. So it really has been a good year, I think. So we'll run through a lot of this, and it's not all been sequels and remakes and reboots and stuff. There have been some of those, but not everything has been. So a lot of original stuff that we will talk about. Before we get to the good stuff, the top 10, I do have a top 10 disappointments. I know I said 3 or 4 to you, but I end up going with 10. So
holy shit, that is crazy.
So on that flip side, there have been some bombs or stinkers or just movies that kind of disappointed me to begin with. Okay, so how many? You have some of those. How many do you have?
Let me see. Let me look at my little list because I might actually. I know you said you had you're like, hey, 3 to 5. I have 1, 2, 3. Well, I put 5 because that's what you told me, but I could even throw throw a couple more on there if you wanted me to.
If you want 7. You want to do 7? You have 2 in mind?
I'll do 5. I can throw you a couple extra because I feel like we're gonna have some of the same movies on our list. So
okay.
Let's just roll with it.
Okay, let me go through until I get to where you want to be. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So these are the top 10 disappointing horror movies of 2024.
And are these in a list? Are these in like, okay, this one's the worst, or are you just throwing them out there and
it's a countdown.
It's
a countdown. So this is number 10.
Okay, countdown. Ready to go.
Right. Number 10, and this is actually a cheat though, really. It's really a cheat. Number 10 is because A, it's not really a horror movie, and B, I didn't see it.
Oh. Okay.
But it's The Crow. And the reason it's such a disappointment is just because it's just Hollywood showing its Hollywood colors and just going back and remaking something that was sort of a sacred thing, I feel like, that should have never been touched. It was totally fine to do sequels and do all that stuff, but to go back and sort of try to sully that great movie that Brandon Lee lost his life, making, I feel like it was such just it wasn't. It left a bad taste in a lot of people's
They
mouths.
shouldn't even went
Obviously,
there. They
no,
shouldn't even gone there,
no,
right? They
obviously
shouldn't even.
because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
didn't do
I'm
that
with you.
well. It didn't do
Yeah.
that well at the box office, so I don't think a lot of people were on board with it anyway. So it was definitely something nobody really wanted and didn't ask for. Like I said, again, if they did a sequel, like just any kind of sequel, I think it would have been fine. But I will watch it eventually. But I haven't seen it. But I feel like it was definitely one of the big disappointments.
So
Uh,
I'm with you. That didn't make my list. However, it did make my list because I didn't watch it. However, I'm kind of on the same page with you that I agree with you 100% all the way. It's they shouldn't. They should have took especially if you're going to bring Bill Skarsgård in there. Make it its own little story. Don't try to make like a remake of The Crow. Don't even do that. Don't go there. They did, and I think it was a big flop. All the reviews that I have seen on this movie, I don't think I've seen a positive review on it. So I'm like you. I will watch it eventually, but I haven't yet.
yeah, I'm not like hurrying to do it. So you
Man,
know,
if anybody out there has seen it and they like it, oh God, please comment and let us know what you liked about it. And
well,
because everyone has their own opinion.
you always find somebody that likes a movie. There's somebody who's
Yeah,
going to like any movie. But I think if you grew up and or kind of our age or whatever, you kind of realize that the first one was iconic in its own way because it turned out so well to have such tragic things happen to it, and it just didn't feel like that was a movie you should really touch.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So that was number 10. Number 9 is this is The Exorcism. This is that one with Russell Crowe. Not a terrible movie. I didn't hate it or nothing. I just didn't feel like it was great. It didn't really live up to a kind of what maybe I thought it was going to be. It was written, I think, by the guy, the son of the priest in the original Exorcist, the Damien character, and it kind of felt like some sort of cathartic thing between him and his dad because that's the whole movie is about a guy who's playing a priest in an exorcism movie who gets possessed. It just wasn't great. I don't think it's a terrible movie by any means, but I just don't think it lived up to maybe the potential that it could have been.
So my list, my five,
Well,
that didn't make my
don't do that. Don't do that yet because wait till I
well.
get to 5. But unless you have more to add, but go ahead.
No. I'm just saying that Um, I didn't include that movie in my five,
Yeah.
but that would have been my number six.
Oh, okay.
I did go and watch this movie, Mike. Even though I didn't want to because I heard your response from it when you originally watched it. I did go and watch this movie, and like you, I'm like, oh my God, I love Russell Crowe as an actor, and I think he just took this role thinking it was going to be something, and it wasn't. Okay, it's called Exorcism. Was there an exorcism in this movie? I think not. Okay. So,
But
strike one. That was just strike one. So, no, the whole film, it wasn't for me either. Um, I wish I would have listened to you on that one. A lot of times I'll listen to you and I'm like, yeah, but I like to form my own opinion. I did go and watch this movie this past week, and no, it wasn't for me either. And I'm like, exorcism? Why is it called exorcism when they don't even do an exorcism? What the
yeah,
heck?
I think it's just because it's so closely related to The Exorcist, and Russell Crowe does another priest in the Pope's Exorcist, which is it's actually really good. It's a really good movie, but yeah, I don't know. This one just doesn't work that great. I mean, it's like I said, it's not terrible, but it's just not great. Number 8, Imaginary.
Okay, I didn't see this one.
So
I
this
didn't see
one,
this one, but
yeah, this one is a
I
PG, not Blumhouse, but it's PG. It's like kind of like Blumhouse, but it's PG. I think it's Lionsgate. About the bear, and yeah, it just wasn't great. I think we'd maybe seen too many of those. Megan obviously came the year before, and that was good, but I think just too many of these very similar ideas that kind of just got thrown together, and so I wasn't really a huge fan of that one. Number 7, In a Violent Nature.
haha, that made my list too.
It's number 7 for me. I do like the movie as far as like the kills. There's a couple one kill in particular that's really good. The stylistic, first of all, it got hyped up way too much. I feel like, as far as like saying, oh, it's this POV kind of thing. It's really more like a video game kind of a deal. And that ending, I don't know what they were going for with that. It didn't work for me, or I didn't particularly care for it. But like I said, there are a couple kills that are unique about it enough to appreciate it, I think, to a point. But it's just not a great movie. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and tell you my thoughts on it. I think I almost feel like I remember saying, "Oh, I haven't seen this," and you're like, "Yeah, it's okay." I went ahead and watched it anyways. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to love this movie, Mike. I wanted to love it. Um, although there were some good kill scenes, like the yoga kill
The
scene.
yoga was great.
All
Yeah,
right, that's the one. That's what I figured you're talking about. But oh my god, what a snooze fest! I do like the idea of seeing the slasher's perspective, but it wasn't done very well.
it wasn't even the
Um,
slasher's perspective.
Not
Just kind of like
really.
you get more of the slasher's
Right.
perspective in the opening of Halloween.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's exactly. And oh my God. I mean, I just, it was, oh my God, it was just so slow. And I think it could have been better, but it falls flat due to the poor character development too.
well,
Also, I
that's just the
mean,
thing. You don't care about any of these characters because they're all just
right,
fodder.
right,
and
right.
it kind of wants you to care about the one girl at the end, but you don't, and whatever they're doing to make you try to care about it doesn't work.
Yeah, so that definitely made my top 5 of my least
Okay,
disappointments.
all
So
right,
100%, and we're on the
that
same page there.
that's fair. That is fair. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
here we go. My number 6 is Apartment 7A.
So I didn't see that one, so I can't
All
I
right.
can't give an opinion on that one. So tell me what you got there.
Well, that's the prequel to Rosemary's Baby, and a slick movie, and the acting's good. There's nothing to complain about with that. It's just the fact that it's very unnecessary, and it's a very obvious movie since we know it's a prequel and we know what's going to happen, where it's going to lead to, kind of a thing. But there's just not enough of it because it's really more just a retread than anything else. And so I didn't really feel like that it brought much to the table, other than the cash cow kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I wasn't terribly impressed with it. It's not a terrible movie. Like I said, the acting is good and everything. It's just not great.
That's
All
what
right.
I've kind
So
of heard, that if everyone's kind of like, "Oh my God, it's like basically Rosemary's Baby, but done not, but it's a terrible version of Rosemary's Baby,
yeah.
basically."
Well, I mean, yeah, but once you see it's a prequel, then you know where it's going to go. So it really isn't surprising or anything like that. All right. So we're at number 5. What's your number 5? Here we go.
Okay, my number 5 was Mr. Crockett.
You didn't like Mr. Crockett?
No.
What the
No.
heck?
I know. I knew you were going to be like, "What? Bridget, what's wrong with you?" I don't even think I even talked about this movie when I watched it the first time on the podcast. It's because I couldn't sit all the way through it. I didn't even see the ending of it.
Oh,
I got so damn bored with it, I turned it off. I turned it off. I
interesting.
don't, I don't know if it was that day. It was my mood. I don't know, but I was like, he wanted to like it so much. I wanted to like it so much, and I was just like,
So it just bored you. Just
It
bored you.
did. I just couldn't get into the. I couldn't get into the Mister Rogers
Mhm.
slasher,
Good.
whatever he was.
Couldn't
I
get into the
do
sing
like that.
song.
I do like the idea, because I did watch enough of it where he was kind of going after the parents for being bad parents. He's punishing the parents. I thought that was really
Hmm.
good. But
Yeah.
it didn't do it for me at all.
Okay.
I
That's
couldn't
fair.
explain this one. And
That's fair.
I've watched so damn many reviews of movies this year, and I haven't heard not one person talk bad about this movie. I actually haven't heard a lot of reviews about this movie, but I haven't heard anything bad about it. But I was like, damn, am I the only person that was like couldn't sit through it? But no, I didn't. I couldn't sit through that one. I don't know why.
I did. I really enjoyed it. I thought. I mean, I guess I wasn't expecting anything. I think I hyped it up for you, and you were probably expecting something because I wasn't expecting anything because it was just like a Hulu movie drop, And a lot of those aren't that great. They're just kind of whatever. I went in and I really liked it. But
That
I
could
hyped
be
it up.
what it is. I don't know. You're like, but you
Yeah.
gotta go watch this movie, watch it tomorrow. And I was like, I turned it
Right.
on. I was like, I watched it. I was like, yeah, I gotta go like clean the house or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. My number five. My number five is The Strangers Chapter One.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah. The Strangers, the original is one of my favorite movies. And when they announced they were doing this as sort of a sequel, prequel, requel kind of a thing, I wasn't too sure about it. It's a trilogy kind of a deal, but um, I mean, to me, it just didn't seem necessary. It's obviously low budget, lower budget than the original, and uh, but it's like it's basically is a remake of the original, but it it didn't need a remake, and it definitely isn't better than the original. So, um, yeah, I didn't care that much for it. I mean, it's okay. It's not a terrible movie. It's just not a good movie.
So
And
it's kind of like a remake of the original with a lower budget,
kind
and
of, yeah. I mean, they
it's
do
not as
change it.
good.
Right, right. They do change some things up, but it's. I mean, the story is different, but still, it's the same premise, So there's not really anything that new brought to the table. But it's a trilogy, so the part two is coming out pretty soon. I think maybe in 25. So maybe they'll redeem themselves by the time part three comes out. I don't know. Maybe I'll really like them as a whole, but as a one movie standoff, I didn't particularly care that much for it. And I think I said when I talked about it the first time is I'm not really sure this is really a franchise. So, all right,
Okay,
what's your
okay.
number four?
I haven't seen that one, so okay, fair enough. All right, my number four. Okay, you ready for this?
Yep,
Trap. I watched
Trap.
it today. I
Okay,
watched it today. I
all
watched
right,
it today.
Trap.
I was like,
Yeah,
man,
I
hey,
wasn't for sure that you was gonna like that one anyway because I knew you weren't a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan, so that's not for everybody. That movie is not for everybody.
okay. Well, first of all, you already know that I'm not a fan of M. Night Shyamalan. So, but first of all, I'm sorry, but there were no kills in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
There were no kills in the movie. I was like, did that really, was that a horror movie? But I didn't see any horror in it at all. At all.
I'd say more of a
Okay,
thriller.
fine,
More of a
fine.
thriller.
Yes, 100%. And I'm like, and you know that I'm not a fan of like singing movies. So, I was like, I'm going to power through the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the singing is not the entire film. I was like, all right, I'm powering through this. Okay, good. And she's not even fine. Pop is not my thing. Maybe she's a good singer. I didn't think so, but pop is not my thing.
Yeah.
I power through that, and then she gets in the car with him. They go home, and she starts singing at his house, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's coming again! Oh my god, here we go!" And that's not all, Mike. That's not all. That's not all. At the very end, he's in the car. What I'm trying not to give spoilers, but he's in the car, and he at the very, very tail end of the movie, he's in the car, and he hears. That's the very last thing, the very last scene. He's in the car and you hear a song come on. He's like, oh my God, I can hear. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's how I felt during the whole fucking movie. I'm
Right.
sorry, but I did. Um, yeah, I did think that part was kind of funny, but no, it was so boring to me. I'm sorry, it wasn't. But I'm not a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, and I've said this, and I'm probably going to get crap over it, and that's fine. I don't get what everyone's obsession is about his movies. I'm not a big fan of any of them. Um,
Not
I
even.
I just,
Not
I
even the
wanted to
first one.
go. I like The Sixth Sense.
Yes. Sixth
I
Sense.
okay, fine. I was like, I liked it. I didn't love it. No, I did love it. I did love it. But I think that was about it for me. That one film from like 1996. I
Okay,
think
that's fine.
that was about it for me. And I'm like, oh my God, what is the obsession with him? So many people love his movies. I'm like, God, I mean, like, does the guy got like a 24 karat gold dick or what? I mean, what's happening?
Well,
But
I
we
think
all
that's
know it's not the
fair.
size. It's not the it's how you use it. But
The
he
motion
doesn't
of
use it
the
very
motion
well.
of the ocean. Okay, but that's fair. That's
God.
fair. But that's fair. I don't think that you're in the minority really, because I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way. I don't love his stuff, but I do tend to like most of his stuff overall. At least I tend to kind of feel like I understand where he's trying to go with it. I did like this movie. I didn't love it either. I don't think it's a great movie, but I like it enough. I thought there was enough tension. I do like Josh Hartnett's acting in it and everything, but yeah, I can see
He's the
where you
only
would get.
thing that I liked about this movie. I love
Yeah.
him. I love his acting, and I'm glad. And he has a history in horror, so I'm glad
Mhm.
he come back out and did a horror movie. So, did this movie didn't make your top least
It's
favorites? Did it?
no, it's not in anything. It's not.
Damn it.
No.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, all right. But I did check it off. I'm proud of myself for actually watching the film because I had no intentions of watching this, but I was like,
Absolutely.
man, I'm going to go in with an open mind, and I did, and
I think
I
I
just,
warned you about that one. I think I told you you might not like that one. Yeah, I think
yeah,
I think I
yeah, I did go in with an open mind though, but it's just not for me. So
right.
sorry about that, y'all. It's not for me. It's not for
That's
everyone.
fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Number four for me, time cut.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah. So is that we talked about this a few podcasts ago.
yeah.
It's that new time travel movie that came out on Netflix. Just a little too soon after that one that came out last year that was really good, totally killer. And so I don't know. I didn't love this one. I didn't think it was that great. It was more of a PG than that one was, and I mean, again, watchable totally, but not a great movie. I don't think.
That one didn't make my least favorite list, but I can see where you're coming from on that one. And it's funny because I watch reviews all the time on movies, and a lot of people didn't like that movie, and they thought that it was kind of a ripoff of Totally Killer. But what I learned watching these reviews is that they have this kind of the same mask, and it was Totally Killer, and it's about time travel. But Tom Cut was actually filmed a year before Totally Killer. I didn't know that.
And that
So,
does make all the difference in the world. Unfortunately, but that's just the way it goes.
but
You
that's the
get
way it goes. That's the way it
yeah.
goes. But I can see why that would be on your top least favorites. It didn't make mine. It didn't make mine. If I was going to do a top 10, it probably would make the top 10.
Yeah.
So I understand that completely.
Okay. What's your number three?
Um, Number three, let's see, we talked about Trap, Mr. Crockett, and Violent Nature. Oh, Night Swim.
Night Swim. Yeah.
Night
Mm-hmm.
Swim. Okay, so fine, the acting was good. But
Acting was good. Yeah.
I think the actors did great for what they were given.
Sure.
What they had to work with, which wasn't
Exactly.
a whole lot. Um, to me, this movie, Mike, is gonna sound really harsh, but to me, I just I don't know. I feel like the whole damn movie was this pool, and I'm ADHD. The whole damn movie is the pool, and I feel like it was almost like I don't know, the poltergeist pool scene
It's a
turned
terrible
into a
premise.
freaking full 90-minute full feature film.
It
I
is
don't know.
a terrible premise. I knew
God,
from the trailer that.
and you did watch it, right? Didn't you
Yeah.
watch it?
Oh yeah. I watched it.
I don't think that I talked about this on the podcast. I went back. There's a lot of movies I watched this year that I didn't talk about on the podcast. This is one of them. And I just missed it on the podcast. But when I went back and started looking at all the movies that I watched, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even talk about this on the podcast. Maybe there's a reason I didn't talk about it because it's boring. Boring. And
Yeah.
It's a big Hollywood production. I'm
It's
like,
a PG-13
y'all,
stinker.
right. It's a PG-13 stinker. There you go. Yeah. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. All right. My number three is Hold Your Breath.
Oh, so I didn't see this one, so I don't have an opinion on that one.
I think I talked about this one on a podcast, and it was that Hulu Sarah Paulson movie that was just a yawn fest. It wasn't that good. I didn't feel like it was very compelling.
If it's a snooze fest for you, then I would probably be asleep in the first 5 minutes.
It's possible because I can sit through some stuff, but
You can.
uh,
I know
but
you
I
can.
but yeah, I mean, I finished the movie, but I just didn't like it that much. And she did another one the year before with Ron, I think, and I wasn't a big fan of that one either. But yeah, it just wasn't that great for me. But at first when it first came out, there was like some good reviews or good buzz about the movie, but I just wasn't feeling it myself. But yeah, that's my number 3. What's your number 2?
So I had five. I had 5 miles. Trap, Mr. Crockett, and Violent Nature. Night
You haven't.
Swim.
You actually haven't said in Violent Nature. We talked about it.
Oh my
You
God! Well, that was my number 2 then. In
number
Violent
2 was
Nature
in Violent
is in
Nature.
violent
Okay,
is yeah. That was on my list.
because
We talked.
that was my number 7. We talked about it then. Yeah,
Well, that was my number 2.
your number 2. Yeah,
So that was
putting
my number
violence.
2. Mm-hmm.
All right, all right. Well,
Um.
so we talked about that. My number 2, you just talked about Nights.
Haha. Yep. Imagine that.
Yeah, and it's been almost a year since I've seen it, but definitely left the wrong impression on me on that one. All right, what
That
is your?
movie is so damn bad that I didn't even talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's pretty bad.
Honestly, that's probably the worst horror movie of 2024. But I have number 1 that is the most disappointing. What's your number 1 disappointing horror movie of 2024?
Night Swim probably should have been my number 1. However, I put this one as my number 1. It probably should not be my number 1. Was Out of Darkness. Did you see
Out
this
of
one?
Out of Darkness.
So I saw it at the theater. It was one of those AMC. It was one of those AMC things. I have the membership or whatever, and
Mhm.
they tell you they're going to do a horror movie, and it's kind of a blind thing. You don't know what horror movie it's going to be. It's going to be a surprise. So
Yeah,
that was like the exciting part about it. We were going in to watch a horror movie. We had no idea what it was, no idea what it was about, no idea the title, and it was Out of Darkness. And I wanted to like this movie so much. And it's crazy because the first part of it, I was pretty creeped out.
yep,
Oh my God, but they had this great idea and they started off so great, but it turned into complete garbage. Complete garbage. Like where I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so disappointing. I was so into this and I was so freaked out and scared and now I'm just like, eh,
Mhm.
that's pretty bad."
No, I didn't.
But
I didn't watch that one. I didn't see that.
okay. Okay. Fair enough. So, what about you? What's on your list?
Right. So honestly, my most disappointing movie. Again, this isn't a bad movie. It's definitely not as bad as Night Swim, but it's my most disappointing one. A Quiet Place, Day One.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I can't
Um,
form an opinion.
I just felt like it was very boring overall. I wasn't really drawn into the story. I did like part 1 and part 2, and I thought that it was compelling enough. But maybe that's. I know that they want to do like a whole universe of this, and to an extent, it seems like a good idea that it could happen. But I don't know. I don't know if it's even necessary. Because I didn't. I feel like I don't know. At some point, you've kind of just done it. So I wasn't really feeling it. It's not. It's a great acting movie. The effects are fine and everything. It just to me like it didn't like it got a lot of praise. It did really well at the box office. To me, for that to happen, it just didn't. It didn't like live up to that expectation for me.
Yeah,
Yeah. So again, it's not a bad movie. It's just my most disappointing movie of 2024.
most disappointing. Yep,
Yep.
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 Yeah. So some of the movies, like Out of Darkness, I can't say that I hated the movie because
Mm-hmm.
the first half of it, I was really into this movie. But I think the reason it made my disappointing list is because it really truly disappointed me. I was so pissed that I
Yeah.
was like, I
That'll
was
do it.
so spooked. I actually was spooked during this first half of this film, and I was like, what happened? Wait, what happened? I was so spooked and it just turned to complete garbage. So
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've done the bad. Now let's do some good. Okay.
We've done the ugly. Let's do the good.
Now, as always, I have a hard time with this, and I really had a hard time with this list. I'm going to tell you
Oh my God,
the top
me
10.
too. They
And
were
I
all
have
getting jumbled. They were
they
all getting jumbled for me.
absolutely. I did that a lot, and I have some honorable mentions. I always kind of do because there's always some that I really want to put in there, or I had in there, I took out, and there's always a lot. So I have about 6 honorable mentions. I want to run through real quick.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
My honorable mentions are this: Salem's Lot. Uh, kind of came out of nowhere. Really good film, honestly. Revived the vampire, sort of the old school vampire feel. I thought it was a really good movie. Uh, First Omen. Now, we talked about this with the apartment 7A that didn't work, but this one works, and it's really kind of the same thing, but it works. It's just a better movie. It's just better made. It just feels better, and the overall story just works better, I think. The next one is Abigail. Abigail was another vampire movie that I really enjoyed overall. I thought it had a really good story, and the trailer gave a lot away, but didn't give enough away to make you not like the movie because there was enough twists and turns in there to make you really enjoy it. Up next was Oddity, a little movie that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. That was really creepy.
I
We
didn't
talked
love it.
about
Yeah, it didn't make my list. It didn't make my top 10, but I'm kind of like you. I actually really enjoyed that movie.
yeah,
Enjoyed
yeah,
it.
yeah. Me too. Speak No Evil, the remake. Um, didn't make my list of top 10, probably because I do enjoy the original better, and because it's really more of a thriller than a horror movie, really, honestly. But great acting, and movie I do look forward to revisiting soon. So, but it's a I just compare. I think if I never saw the remake, I might even appreciate this one even better. But to me, the original is a horror movie because of the ending, and the ending here lends itself more as a thriller, honestly. Um, and the last one was Immaculate, and Immaculate's not a great movie, honestly, but that third act is wonderful. Um, Sydney Sweeney really goes for it in the third act, and I really enjoy that. So it really kind of saves that movie for me. So those are my honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mentions that you want to talk about before we go to the top 10?
No, I'm just going to go to the top 10, but I will say that it cracks me up that some of your honorable mentions are on my top 10.
Okay.
So I'm
No.
just kind of excited to hear your top 10. I'm not going to
No.
lie.
Awesome.
I'm
Good.
excited
That's
about it.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. All right. So
Yeah.
what do you got for 10?
10. Hey, you know this had to make my top 10 list. All That Ends.
All of it
It
is. Oh,
it
nice.
made my top 10. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been waiting on this to come out for like ever. Yes, I play in this movie. I'm one of the leads in it, but I was super kind of proud of the turnout. I'm not gonna lie, and the fact that my dad does not like horror movies. He even told me personally. He goes, We were driving to the theater, and I already had assumed I was not going to like this movie. I already assumed it. I don't care, Bridget, if my daughter was in it or not. I don't like horror movies. It's not my thing. I already said I'm not going to like it. He goes, I kind of liked it. I was like, what? Really? Oh my God. But
Yeah.
it turned out way better than what I thought. And man, I know that probably, when we talk about our top favorites, it's probably all like our Hollywood films, but damn it, I'm throwing a damn low budget independent horror film in there.
Awesome.
Gotta give my guys credit. Flickering Candle Productions, yes. All That Ends, it made my number 10 list. Yes, it did.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. Yeah, it was definitely a good ensemble, sort of sci-fi horror, I would say, right?
Kind of sci-fi horror, and
Yeah,
I love the gore. The gore
yeah,
was great.
yeah.
Loved it.
Awesome. All right. Well, my number 10 is Heretic.
Okay. I don't think I saw that one, so
This
okay.
one came out pretty recently. This one is one that has Hugh Grant in it. Two young religious women are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man. Uh, pretty compelling horror movie. If you're looking for gore and stuff like that, this isn't really that. It's more of a mind fuck kind of a deal. With the tone subject is religion, and I gotta say I was kind of just going along with Hugh Grant's character through most of it. I know he's the bad guy, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm agreeing with you most of the time what you're saying here, buddy. But it's he's just playing with these girls, and I do like the cat and mouse aspect of movies a lot of the time. I think that works. I think it worked really well with Strangers, works well with Freddy Krueger, just different ones. It works really well with, and that was really exactly what he was doing here. And it is creepy, but I like I said, I just kind of like the theology subtext that he was dealing here with these girls. So yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I'm not sure that if you're gonna love it, I don't think you'll like it as much as I did, possibly. But for me, I kind of thought it was pretty cool.
Awesome. Awesome. I still want to watch it. If it make your top 10, I'll definitely still watch it. You never
All right.
know. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got for number 9?
Number 9, you're probably gonna be surprised about this one. I feel like
Okay.
Maxine was my number 9.
Maxine. Okay. Yeah.
Maxine, it's funny because a lot of people did not like this movie. And I just saw it one time. I saw it in the movie theater. And gosh, that was earlier in the year, it seems like. But I remember walking out of this movie and going, I really like this. I really liked it. Had the whole thing with the the Night Stalker. I thought that was kind of all over the place, but overall, I really liked the movie. It didn't get a lot of great reviews, but I personally really liked it though.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that Night Stalker thing was just because it was set in that time period and that location, but and maybe just to throw you off a little bit. To be honest, that might be part of it, but um, it's a good movie. It is. It's definitely.
I remember saying, I was like, oh, I like Maxine better than I like X, and I went and did a rewatch of X. Okay, fine. I don't like Maxine better than X. I went and did a
Yeah.
rewatch of X, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, X is still
Maxine is
number
not
one.
as good as X. Fine,
X
it's not.
is still number one for sure. Yeah,
Still number one. But I'm glad I'm glad I went and did a rewatch of X. But it still made my top 10. I did like it. I really did,
yes,
and I'm
yes.
I did. I don't know if it made your top 10 or not, but
It might.
it did.
We'll see. We'll see
We'll
what
see.
happens.
We'll see. So, what
Yeah.
about you? What's your number 9?
Number 9, I have, I guess, a horror adjacent movie because would you say if it's really horror? But it's really fun. Beetlejuice.
Yes,
A lot of fun.
awesome.
A lot of fun. Great movie. I mean, nostalgia is really the thing we're going with here. I mean, it was just a lot of fun to revisit these characters and invite the new ones in. I mean, was it a perfect movie? No, it wasn't. There's definitely some plot holes I'm sure you could pick away out and stuff. But if you just want going to have fun, to see Michael Keaton do this role again, which he probably should have done in the 90s, but it was just fun to revisit that. And it was good to see that sort of Tim Burton look again. So
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun with it,
awesome.
So yeah, number 9.
Yeah. Number 8 for me.
Sure.
You mentioned this on your it didn't make your top 10, but you still mentioned it. Your honorable mentions. For me, number 8 was Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot, yeah.
I love this movie. I really didn't think I was gonna like it. That's what's crazy.
It really is a good movie, like a lot better than I thought it would be, and especially considering the fact that I didn't go to theaters with it. You'd think that it was kind of marred with all these problems and stuff, but I think it really flowed good.
I think that was kind of me too. That I think I went into sometimes when you set yourself up with these crazy high expectations, you let yourself down. But I didn't have those expectations going. I was like, okay, this is a remake of a really great, one of my favorite horror movies. It's probably gonna suck. So I went in kind of with that mindset. And I do think there were some things that they could have done differently that would have been better. But hey, overall, it made my top 10 list. I liked it. I did like it.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 8 for me was Alien Romulus.
Okay, so I didn't see this one, so I can't form an opinion on it. So
All
Okay.
right, so this one's on Hulu now. If you can go check it out on Hulu. Yeah, I mean it's a good movie. Do I think it, you know, broke the mold? No. I mean, I feel like it's probably the third best Alien movie. So we all know what that means. Aliens is obviously better, but it's better than probably all the other ones. It's got pretty good tension and stuff. But again, it doesn't like go in a different direction. It stays in its playing field and kind of does a lot of the same things that you've seen before. You see, and there's definitely a lot of fan service, obviously, with this movie. But if you like that sort of atmosphere, then it's just fun to revisit.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you got
So
for number 7?
number 7. So another movie that you mentioned on your honorable list there,
Mm-hmm.
is for me, it was Abigail.
Abigail, yeah.
Mike,
Abigail was on my list. It
I
was on
never
my
thought in a
list.
million years this would make my list. I never thought in a million years. I didn't even want to see this movie. Didn't
Yeah.
even want to see it. I went into this thinking I think it was a formula movie. I kept thinking that. But it had a good twist in there. That twist and the gore, it made my top 10 list. So
Yeah, it was in my top 10 list for a while. I kind of went back and forth with it, because again, it is a good movie, and it's one of those movies that you don't expect to like as much as you do, or as you will probably.
yeah, and I don't want to say it. My number 5 through my number 9 was hard. Oh my gosh. This was so hard. I moved movies around so much, Mike. You have no idea. I was like,
Oh,
I kept
yeah.
going back and forth. So it was really hard. So that's a good thing. It's a good
Sure.
thing. It means I loved all these movies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what about you? What was your number 7?
Number 7 for me was Maxine.
Okay. All right.
Maxine.
Maxine made
Yeah.
it. She made
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. It's not perfect. Again, it's not as good as X. It's better than Pearl, but it's not as good as X. But Mia Goth she's great in it. She's great.
Man,
And
and
Kevin Bacon.
I'm not a Mae Goth fan, but I loved her in this movie. And guess
She
what,
was.
Mike? She did not get on my nerves. She
That's
didn't get on my
awesome.
nerves.
And Kevin Bacon's character, man, I loved it.
Oh
It's great.
my God, I know, right? He's just a nut. I
Yeah,
love him. That's awesome.
absolutely. Absolutely. What's your number 6?
Number 6, you just mentioned this one, but Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Ah, man, so much nostalgia. I have so many mixed feelings about this movie, but the reason that it didn't go a little bit higher in my list was, oh my God, the one scene where they're floating and he's singing. I'm like, oh my God, that scene just went on. I'm like,
We're
shut the.
seeing a theme here.
Oh my
Singing turns
gosh.
you off.
I know. Isn't that awful? Isn't it? Shh, don't tell nobody that. My boyfriend's a singer. Don't tell nobody. No, yeah, no, it does. It bores the hell out of me. If there's dancing if there's dancing and entertainment with it, I'm all on board. I'm all on board with it. But floating in the air and singing, I'm like, God, stick a needle in my eyeball already. Okay. Yeah. So what about you? What's your number 6?
My number 6 has a little bit of singing in it too, so I don't know if you'll like it or not.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, it's number 6 for me. Strange Darling.
Oh my God, I haven't seen this, but it's on my list to watch because I've heard great things about it. So I didn't realize there was singing in it though.
I
So
mean, it's not. It's not a singing movie. It's not a musical, but there is one scene where somebody sings in the movie. Yes. Yes. So probably more of a horror adjacent thriller. Honestly, I mean, there is gore and stuff, but it's really the way that it's edited. It's edited into chapters, but they're not in order. And that's really the only way to tell the story because of the twists. And at first, I was like, "This is going to be annoying," but it works. It works really well.
yeah.
I really like it. It's a lot of fun. You got two main characters here. Actors Willa Fitzgerald. She was actually the lead in the Scream TV series. MTV put out a series a while back, years ago, and she was the lead in those Scream in that Scream series, and she's really kind of coming into her own here, doing some movies, and so I'm really liking her. But the guy with her, Kyle Gallner, this guy he's becoming like a horror icon. Have you noticed this guy?
I mean, like, so I haven't seen this movie. So what else has he played in that I would know?
He was in Jennifer's Body.
Which character did he play in that
He
movie?
played the goth kid, the goth one.
Oh, I've
Yeah,
seen him in a lot of things. Actually, he was
yeah.
in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel
He
like.
was in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was
Okay,
in
yeah,
Smile. He just did a one called
yeah,
Passenger.
yeah.
He was in Scream, the remake part 5.
He
He was
was, yeah.
he's becoming like this horror icon. He's just popping up everywhere, and I love it. I love it. He's great. But
I
he
do like him. He has that face that no one else can have. That face that he has. It's almost like a kind of a sad look. He looks like he's sad all the
he
time,
does. Yeah,
but it
yeah.
works. It
It
works
works.
for his characters, though. It just works.
It works. But this movie is really good.
Okay.
Again, it's about the editing, the way it works out. But I was pleasantly very surprised by it. Just really liked it. So again, it's not super horror. So if you're going in thinking it's a horror movie, it's more of a thriller for sure. But a really well made one. And there's like a couple of things I could tell you, like movies I could say it's kind of like this, and you might give something away, so I won't do that. I'll just let you watch it and see what you think. So
We know
number 5.
when you're talking about like, oh, it's not a horror movie, it's more like a thriller. We've talked a lot about these. And you asked me earlier, like, is there any movies that you wanted to mention that's not on the top 10? There is one that I'm thinking about it. You're talking and things are just kind of going off in my brain over here. I watched a movie recently that I hadn't seen. That was Lisa Frankenstein. Oh my
Lisa
God,
Francis. Yeah.
what a cute little
It's cute.
movie!
Yeah. It's a
Oh
cute.
my
It's
God,
cute. Yeah.
it didn't make my top 10 because I just felt like it wasn't like horror, but it was
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
didn't make
it's.
my. I mean, there was. I mean, not like Trap. There was some damn kill scenes in there at least, but but no, it was a cute movie. But yeah. Anyways, okay, go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. We're up to you. Number 5.
Number 5. So for me, I'm really surprised that this made my number 5, but it was The First Omen.
First Omen. Okay. Yeah.
I was really surprised that I went in with not high expectations because I thought it was just going to be some bullshit remake, but I really ended up loving this movie. I was really surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought it was going to be a cash cow. I thought it was going to be like that Pet Cemetery prequel came out the year
Yeah,
before.
that's kind
And
of what I was
it
thinking too.
I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be just like that, but they really put a lot of effort into it, so it really paid off.
I thought so too. And like I said, I had a really hard time between my number 5 and my number 9 because they all kind of jumbled and I kept moving them around. But I kept going back to this movie and I was like, God, I love this movie. And I kept going back and watching trailers and let's see what I remember because it was kind of earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept going back to it for some reason. I was like, I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what about you? What's your number 5?
Number 5 for me is Terrifier 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Terrifier 3. I mean, when it comes to gore, man, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the one. So much gore in it. The biggest selling unrated movie of all time because they released it unrated, and it wasn't by a studio or anything. So it's a good movie. We've talked about it before. I've talked about the things I love and dislike about it. It does have some things that I don't feel like works that well with it, which is why it wasn't really higher. I don't like the cliffhanger part of it. I think it is still a little too long. There's certain few little hiccups there and plot holes and stuff. But overall, if you like gore, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah. Oh God,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. All right. Now I didn't expect that to be your number 5, but I can't wait to hear the rest of your movies. That's so exciting.
What's number 4 for you?
Number 4 for me was Long Legs.
Long Legs. Okay.
Man, I had so much expectation going in this movie. I think I set myself up. But, I mean, overall, it was a great movie. It was great.
It's a great movie.
Did it live up to the hype? No. But I do feel like this is a movie that came out earlier in the year. I do feel like I want to do a rewatch. Have you rewatched this since you first watched it?
I've seen it 3 times, I think.
Oh shit! You're way ahead of me then. So maybe that's not fair. I kind of do want to do a rewatch of it because it was so early in the year, and there was a lot going on in this movie. When I was sitting there and they're rattling off these birth dates and all these things, I'm like, oh my god! I already know I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this movie. So there was a lot going on. So it could have made my top 3. But I feel like I almost need to do a rewatch on it. So, but overall, Nicolas Cage, man, what an incredible actor. His craziness in this movie really did it for me. When he's in the car and he's screaming and he's banging his head on the table and all these crazy things he's doing. And it's a great movie. I do want to go back and rewatch it. Just because I feel like I might have missed a couple things or, but no, definitely made, number 4 for me. What about you?
Okay.
What was your number 4?
All right, cool. Number 4 for me is Smile 2.
Okay, so I didn't see that one. So, okay.
It's on Paramount
good.
Plus now. If anybody wants to check it out.
I didn't realize that. Okay, awesome.
Yep. Smile 2. It's a really good movie. I really didn't even jump on the Smile bandwagon when it first came out. The first one. It took me about 3 or 4 watches to really appreciate that the part 1. But part 2, I'll tell you, part 2, it's just a big Hollywood horror movie. But it works. It works really well. I mean, it's very polished and everything. But I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of pop music in here, so you might not like that part. That might detract you from it. But it's got a lot of good scares. It's got a lot of good fake outs, a lot of good jump scares, which I know. I mean, sometimes people take it or leave it with the jump scares. Some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah,
I'm okay with them when it works. But there's a lot of them in here. But it's creepy though. It's a really creepy movie, and good performances. I just think it's really good. It's a well-made Hollywood horror movie that is sort of formula. I mean, you kind of know pretty much where it's going, but these movies are a little nihilistic. These Smile movies, though. I mean, let's face it, they're not exactly happy ending kind of stuff. So, yeah, I do. I think it's a good movie. Go watch it. Paramount Plus.
Okay, all right. Why don't you go check that out?
Before you go to number 1 through 3, I'm going to tell you this. Not 1 through 3 for me is like they kind of go back and forth. Like I want to cheat and say they're all number 1. They're all kind of number 1 for me for different reasons. Like I went back and forth with all 3 of these, honestly, with the number 1 slot because I love all 3 of them. So it was really, really hard for me, honestly. This whole section, I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe this one, maybe this one. I don't know.
So that's good. That is so good because I felt the same way coming up with my top 10 list. That's good because I remember, maybe it wasn't last year, maybe it was the year before. I don't know. We've been doing podcasts for a while now. And I remember going, I can't even come up with a damn top 10 list. This is bad. This is bad, bad, bad. And here I am going, I can't decide which one's better than the other. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's a really good thing.
For sure. Yeah, that's good. So what do you got? Number 3.
My number 3 was Speak No Evil.
Speak No Evil.
I freaking love this movie. I loved it. I will tell you, when I was in the theater, now I hadn't seen the original. I saw the American remake before I watched the original. And so I had no idea going in. No idea. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. But I think what done it for me was the acting.
Acting was good.
Man, I'm sorry. What's the lead's name? What's his name?
James McAvoy.
Man, what an incredible actor. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now if it wasn't for him, the movie probably wouldn't have been that good and probably wouldn't have made my list. Damn, what an incredible actor, and he really made that film, and it was so damn believable. And his character had me like really believing I was in that situation, and I was really on the edge of my seat, and I absolutely loved it. Love this film. And
Yeah,
I
he's
love the
terrifying.
original too. I love the original too, and it's very rare that I'll watch you know um the original foreign film and then the American remake. You're like, oh, the American remake's garbage, but this one was pretty damn good, and I had a hard time deciding. I still today can't decide which one I like better. I love both of them kind of equally, so that's kind of different.
I would it would be interesting to see what it would be like if you'd seen the original first, to me, because I mean, while I like the original better just because it is more shocking, it's like you leave the end of that movie going, oh my gosh, what happened? Whereas this one is more of a Hollywood ending. I mean, you do get that sort of happy ending here. You get the good versus evil kind of deal. But other than that, I mean, yes, the acting was great. He was terrifying in this American remake to make you want to get the hell away from him.
Yeah,
but uh, but
yeah.
but there's something about that original one to me that just makes it the more terrifying because of the way it ended.
I do believe that because, like I said, I hadn't watched either one of them going in, and I had seen all these reviews and things, and a lot of people were saying if you haven't seen either one, watch the remake first and then go and watch the original. But I'm kind of like you; it might have been better if I watched the original because well, maybe not. I might not like the remake as much, but the ending, when it comes to the ending, the original left me like, oh my god, WTF? Like, what's happening here? But
Yeah,
um, but I think the whole acting and him getting his character like really drawed me in for some
yeah,
reason.
for sure. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I expected not to like it at all, so I was going into it thinking I wasn't going to like it, and I do like it. So it won me over for sure.
okay, awesome. So, what about you? What's your number three?
Number three slash number one, they're all connected, all three of these movies, because I cannot
Okay,
decide. Number
okay.
three, though, number three, Late Night with the Devil.
I love this movie. I wanted this. I should have meant. I didn't mention this for honorable mentions. I should have. It didn't make my top 10. I love this movie.
Oh
It was
my God.
so different,
It's
so
so good.
different.
So
I
good.
think what killed it for me was the ending. But the ending, I was like, oh, I wish they had done that a little bit differently. I don't remember the ending. I just remember not loving it.
You mean like
But
with the broadcast and stuff? Like where it's.
I guess I don't really remember. I don't remember the ending. I just remember going, I don't love this ending. I wish they would have done it differently. And I don't remember what it
Mhm.
was I didn't like about it. But overall, it's a great, great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, I mean, you've got this secret society that they've incorporated into the movie. That was a real secret society, the Grove and stuff with the owl and stuff. So that's actually real.
Oh, I didn't
Uh,
know that. Okay,
yeah, that's all
crazy.
real.
Okay,
So they kind of incorporated that and made it into this. I mean, it's just a great movie. I love all of it. I mean, I love the aesthetics of it, the '70s, look and vibe and feel. Um, the whole acting is great. The um, effects, I know some of them are CGI, and I know there was one thing that was AI. So there's that, but there was some practical stuff in there too. But I just love the way it played out. I thought it was great. I just had a really good time with it. It was just one of those movies. I've seen it a couple times now, and I'm already ready for a rewatch. I absolutely love it.
yeah, no, that's a really, really good one. I can see why that made your top 10 for sure, for sure. Um, Number two for me, you've already mentioned this one.
Okay.
My number two is Terrifier 3.
Go fall through.
I'm kind of surprised. I like 3 better than I like 2. I wasn't a big. I didn't love the second one. I did love it, but the storyline. But I'm kind of like you. There was some plot holes. I really like again. I really struggle with some of these movies on what number they would hit for me. I think the biggest thing for me is one, the gore.
Sure.
I'm a gore whore. Okay.
Yeah.
I
That'll do
love
it.
the gore.
That'll do it for you. That
And
one will do it for you.
like you mentioned earlier, that man, this is an independent horror film. And it is huge, huge. And that mean like that is so big. That is so big to me. And the first thing I thought when I walked out of that movie theater was like, holy shit. He took this to a whole nother level. The director, he took extreme to mainstream. And how
Yep.
he pulled that off, I don't know. Because everyone coming out of that theater, I'm pretty sure every damn person coming out of that theater with me they were all talking. I could hear everybody's conversations. They were all movie reviewers, and any person that was not a movie reviewer got up and walked out. So I'm like, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's kind of big. I mean, I'm a huge horror person, and I'm big in independent horror films, and I love extreme. You love extreme, and the fact that he got pulled that shit off for a theatrical release was big, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I'm dying to hear your number two. What's your number two?
Number two for me, again, part of the 1, 2, 3. Long Legs.
Long Legs. Yeah. Okay.
I absolutely love Long Legs. I think it's a great movie. I've seen it, like I said, about 3 times now. Love the acting and stuff. The only thing about the movie, no, it didn't live up to the hype, but it was still a really good movie. The hype was great, though. I love that hype. The hype was so much fun.
You can't even blame them for the hype though, because that's what you do. That's just smart marketing.
It was smart marketing, and it worked. I mean,
Yeah.
it built you up to where you really wanted to see the movie, and so I really enjoyed that aspect of it because that's part of it in its own little way. But when you get to the movie itself, obviously it's not as horrific as maybe it led itself to believe, or maybe you wanted to be, or whatever. I mean, there's some things about it. The only downfall to this movie, I think, is that it kind of tries too hard. Like
Okay.
I hear that even now they're trying to, like, for your consideration, with an Academy Award nomination or something, trying to get that. I'm like, sorry guys. I mean, as much as I love the movie and I think it's great, I don't think it's Silence of the Lambs. Although I know
Mm-hmm.
it's heavily inspired by the Silence of the Lambs, I don't think it's there. I mean, there's some things about it I think maybe trying a little too hard to get like that sort of recognition in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie itself is good. It's just got some great performances. It is creepy. It's not horrific as far as like scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good, like, solid thriller, I think.
One thing I do want to say about Long Legs that I didn't mention before, I don't think, is that when I went into this movie, I saw the trailers. They had several trailers. You and I talked
Yeah,
about these trailers like, God, forever ago. And the trailers don't give it away. It doesn't give it away. I
they
hate
don't
it.
give it away at
I
all. No.
hate it. Hate it when I watch it. I'm like, I don't even want to even watch. Like when I'm streaming stuff, I'm like, what's this movie about? I almost don't even want to watch what the movie's about because they give shit away. Don't do that. Don't do that. They need to don't do that. But this movie was so great that I was like, it gave me just enough to be like, oh, I want to go and see this movie. But it didn't give it away. It didn't give away the whole one. You knew it was going to be creepy and you knew it was going to be scary, but you didn't really know like what the hell was going on, what the whole damn plot was about. I love that. I do love that about it. So
Yeah, it was great. It was great for sure. All right, so
yeah.
like I said, I totally went like that was on top of my list for a while, and so was Late Night with the Devil. They were both number one. Uh, we're here at number one. I think we both have the same one. I went back and forth with this a lot, and I really was like, I don't think this is going to be the number one. But I mean, when you check everything and everything, it just kind of is for everything. So let me say, your number one
I
is
don't think there's any surprise here.
The Substance, right?
The Substance.
The
Oh, I
Substance.
don't. No shocker to anyone.
No shocker. And
Um.
you had said that when you first watched it, and I was like, I don't know, but when went over everything. It's like, yeah, it's just too fucking good. It's just too fucking good.
It's too fucking good. And Mike, I don't go and watch movies like I know you said you're like, I've already watched Longlegs like 3 times. I'm like, no shit, really? Oh my god. I don't watch movies like that. I just don't. Substance, I've seen this 3 times. Three.
I
One,
think
two,
I've seen it
three.
3 times too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is but for you, I can see that. But for me, I
Oh
don't
yeah.
do that.
I'll watch a movie like 50, 60 times.
Yeah, I don't. But this one, damn, I just can't get enough. Can't get enough.
Well,
Everything about it's great. And
the
I
look.
think that I can relate so much to Demi Moore's character. No, I can relate to her so much in real life that I'm like,
Well,
oh my god.
I mean, the
Um,
thing about that, the theme of the movie is relatable probably to people, just anybody, but especially to people in movies and stuff. Because let's face it, I mean, when you age out or you have to try to maintain your image and all this stuff, I mean, there's this certain things that, you're always constantly aware of and nervous about. And so when things, you kind of fall out of those graces, I mean, it's got to be a terrifying situation. Look, I mean, I can only speak from my experience. I mean, most of the people I've worked with have been very small, low budget kind of stuff. But I've dealt with people already who are very worried about their images and brands and stuff like that. So I can only imagine what it's like for somebody in Hollywood who's actually having a career, who's next meal depends on them working, in the field. So that has to be a terrifying experience, right?
right. And that's just like a small, teeny tiny part of the many millions of things this movie is so great. you know, um,
Yeah.
you have Demi Moore. I love the little thing that you sent me. I'm so glad that you sent that to me. How they the inspiration the movies that inspire this movie. We talked about this last podcast, but we'll go ahead and throw it out there. A few movies that inspired everyone knows The Shining, The Hallway, The Blood, and Clockwork Orange when she's doing the
Psycho.
exercises in the inner room. What were some other ones that would inspire the movie?
Psycho was one.
Oh yeah, Psycho. Yeah, the way that she's in the shower and like
Um,
laid out on the
yeah.
floor and oh my god, like just amazing and the grossness. I'm gonna throw out the grossness of this. Even I'm not gonna lie to you when Dennis Quaid's character is sitting there eating the shrimp.
Yeah, it's gross.
Oh my god! I'm like, oh god, gross. Ugh. Oh, why are they zooming in on that? Oh my god. I was like, oh shit, crazy. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I love it. Booty, 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 booty everywhere. I'm like, oh
There's a
my
lot of booty.
god.
There's a lot of booty. There's a lot of nudity. I mean, but I think with the French female director, I think it was done very tastefully. And
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
and aesthetically, it looks great. The look of the movie is just really good. It's got a very sharp look to it, and the story is simple but very effective. And like again, we talked about the themes. The themes of it resonate on a very deep level, but the plot itself is pretty simple overall. There's not a whole lot there really, but it works though. It works, and then of course you get to the the prosthetics, uh,
Body
uh,
horror.
body horror.
I
And so,
love body horror. I don't know. I've been on this body horror kick for like a couple years now. I don't
and
know what it is. I love body horror, and this one is
but
it's pretty
what's the
gross.
last? It's really gross. It's really really gross. And what's the last body horror movie that really got a lot of acclaim? I'm thinking The Fly.
Shit. Yeah. Oh my god. Like not in a long time.
It's
It's
been
been
a
a
long time.
long time.
Yeah.
And that one just holy shit. And the emotions, the feelings I was getting, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mike, when she's like, she's doing her thing, it's the New Year's Eve thing, and she goes and she's transformed and she's like all of these and she's got the little face cut off Demi Moore's character. She's like, it's me.
She's
You know,
freaking.
I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad for her right now.
There's comedy too. She's there with a curling iron with that one strand of hair and
Oh
shit.
my God. She puts her earring in like the side of her face because she has no ear. It's just horrific.
Yeah. And look, I mean, overall, it was as far as the movie goes. I mean, I don't feel necessarily a lot of things you probably felt. I try to be more empathetic about it and realize and see that, like, for like women or again people who are worried about their brand, people like that, like they're very aware of these things when these things change. And so, but for me, like, I'm a man. I don't really worry about shit like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's not really something I think about.
Fair enough.
That much, but if you just step outside yourself, it's obviously something that's very universal.
Yeah. So even if you take that part out of it, and you don't relate to these characters, I 100% relate to the character. But even if you take that part out of it, the movie is still like, oh my God, everything about it.
Yeah,
Like
still a great ride.
I wanted to, when I saw this in the theater, I'm so glad I saw this in the movie theater too, by the way. I wanted to clap my hands and be like, bro, oh my God. Because it was just blew me out of the water. And it's been so long since I've seen a movie like that. And like I've said, it's not even like me to watch a movie 3 times. That this movie just come out, what, 2 months ago, I think, maybe? I don't know. That is crazy for me, but everything about it, like, I'm thinking, is there anything that I didn't like about the movie? I don't even think there was anything that I didn't like about it. Was there anything that you didn't like about it?
Not really. There's no real low points in it. There's no slow points or boring parts of it. It flows really well. And even though it's a couple hours long, but it works, man. Everything works. It goes from point A to point B real good, real smooth transitions. And no, man, I can't think of anything negative to say about the movie, really.
Yeah.
Not really.
So I'm so glad this made your number one. I wasn't sure if it was going to make your number one or not, so I'm so glad that it did.
Well, like I said, I went back and forth with all 3 of these movies because I love Long Legs for what it is, for like a lot of things, and I really love Late Night with the Devil for what it is for a lot of things. So that those movies, they have a lot of really good things that resonate with me overall. But picking apart, yes, there's a couple of things I can pick apart with Long Legs, a couple of things with maybe Late Night with the Devil, but I mean, I really don't have anything negative to say about this one. It really is just a fantastic movie. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Movie. You can get a free trial right now and go watch it for free.
I know. Do you know how many people that I have told, look, go and get the free trial and just cancel your trial just so you can see this movie?
Exactly.
And I saw this director, and this director hasn't done not a whole lot. And I'm like,
not really.
You got
she's just getting started, really.
And you got like M. Night Shyamalan. He's produced all these things. I'm like, dude, move the fuck over and let this lady come into Hollywood, because she is really doing things like we talked about Revenge. Oh my God, what a great movie.
Take that back. Keep her out of Hollywood. Let her do her own thing. She doesn't need that. She needs, I want her to do her own visions, because obviously what she's doing is working well.
All right. Yep.
Give her some budget.
Yes. Okay. Good for you, Mike. You totally nailed that, because, keep her out of Hollywood, because they're going to change the story and make it all crazy. And I'm going to say Demi Moore. I've never been a huge Demi Moore fan. I've always liked her acting, but not a huge fan. But, oh my God, I just went down that damn Demi Moore hole. And I know you didn't see this movie in the theater, but when you see it in the theater, the Demi Moore and, oh my God, I can't even think of her name. Margaret Qualley, is that right? Margaret Qualley, that played Sue. So they come up there and they're like, hey, if you're watching this and you've seen it in the theater, and we just want to thank you so much for your support. And, they come on here, and I went down the Demi Moore rabbit hole, I was like, oh my God, I love her. I will say that Demi Moore has always been that one actress in my brain that I want her legs so bad. Oh my God. Amazing, amazing,
Mhm.
amazing. But yeah, this movie is so great. We've talked about it so many times. If you have not seen this movie, stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing and go and watch this like today. Like you get a free trial. Go watch it today. No
Watch it today.
regrets. If gore bothers you, you're probably, well, if gore bothers you, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So, but oh my God, such a great film. Oh my gosh. And so inspiring too. God, so inspiring. And Demi Moore, I can't even tell you enough how much I can relate to her character. I love it so much. So great.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, that's it. That is our top 10, maybe 15, if you're whatever, top 10
Yeah.
horror movies of 2024. So, and again, we haven't even seen Nosferatu and probably some others that are going to drop between now and 2025. But so far, this is the best of the best, I feel like.
Man, I think it's the best of the best. And what a great year for horror.
It's been
I
great.
mean,
It's been really good.
it's
There's a
been
lot to choose
great.
from.
And I can't say that I've said this in like a couple years, honestly. I mean, when I'm like juggling back and forth my movies because I can't decide which one goes where, that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really was a struggle for me too, and it's not usually as bad as it was this year. But a lot of good stuff, so a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
well, so we got that out of the way. You ready to interview John?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to him. Let's talk to him.
All
Bring him on.
right, excellent.
All right, everybody, we have a very special guest tonight. I'm super excited about this. We have John Philbin. John is mostly known for his roles in Children of the Corn, North Shore, Return of the Living Dead, Point Break, and Tombstone, and so many more. John, what's going on, man?
John.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you.
Thanks. I'm happy to be on. Last night we celebrated, me and John Franklin were present in the room and celebrating Children of the Corn 40th anniversary cake at our manager Chris Rowe's annual Christmas party. Every Christmas he has a big party with all his clients and he has cakes that celebrate the anniversaries of the clients, big movies that they're doing conventions for. And this year was our 40th anniversary of Children of the Corn, which was the first movie I ever made. And my
40
co-star,
years.
John Franklin, who is the lead, was there. And we just took pictures of ourselves on this cake and ate it afterwards. It was a really surreal celebration of life and being in movies and stuff.
That's
That
awesome.
is so amazing. 40th anniversary. That
Yeah.
is crazy.
And we're with a
So
bunch of people like Heather Langenkamp and stuff that were in the very first Nightmare on Elm Street. They're
Yeah.
celebrating 40 years. They've got a cake with Freddie and Heather on it, and people that were in The Exorcist and shit. Like they've got these cakes, celebrating what year their movie was made. It was really fun, and the cakes are good.
Very
oh
nice.
my
Very
God, that
nice.
is so awesome. I have so much I want to talk about, but I have to tell you this because you're talking about Children of the Corn and the 40th anniversary. So I have been a horror movie lover for God, the majority of my life. And there is a reason that I particularly wanted to bring you onto the podcast because you're in Children of the Corn and Return of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
and both of those movies I have like some crazy nostalgia. So Children of the Corn was my very first horror movie ever.
Me too.
Oh no shit, no
That's
shit.
the first movie I ever did, but it wasn't the first horror movie I ever saw. So sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well, that was my first horror movie I ever
Wow.
saw. I was 3 years old. I was three.
Whoa, shit.
I don't remember a lot when I was three. I don't remember a lot when I was three, but I do remember that I was telling my mom this story over the weekend, and so I wasn't supposed to be watching the movie. That my brother and sister kept getting me to go up the stairs. They're like, "No, you need to go upstairs and watch Dukes of Hazzard. You're not allowed to watch this movie." But I was sneaking down the stairs and like kind of peeping and watching it. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, you were doing that?" I was like, "Yes, Mom," and I was obsessed with horror movies ever since then. So.
Wow.
So that is so super exciting. So that was your first like full feature film?
Yeah, it was the first film of any kind I ever made. I mean, professional SAG movie that I did after I got out of college. It was my first job as an actor in, film, a professional movie once I got out of college, if you could call it that. Yeah, I guess.
That's a pretty big movie. So
Yeah,
before
I
I
know.
get into
I
all
was
that, I want to go ahead.
I was embarrassed about it. I thought it was like I just did it to prepare for the next role, which I had, which was a really good movie, an important film with really big actors, huge cast, and my role was really, really juicy. And so I was embarrassed by Children of the Corn, but my agent told me to do it because he said, you should get some practice working in front of a camera. So I did. I went there and did this little low budget movie in Iowa, and lo and behold, 40 years later, no one's really talking about that really important, huge cast, super awesome movie that I did after that. They're talking about Children of the Corn, though, which just goes to show you never know what's going to happen, and you just want to make sure you do your best. And it turns out Children of the Corn and Return of the Living Dead are giving me a whole second life, in horror conventions, and none of those other, fancy they're not pretentious, but artsy. They're not even artsy Hollywood films that I did with big movie stars. I'm not going to conventions signing autographs for those.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is when you went into Children of the Corn, did you have any idea? So it sounds like you had no idea that was going to be a big thing. And
No, even though it had Stephen King's name on it, nobody did. This is a super low budget independent movie with no stars in it. This is before Linda Hamilton did. In fact, she asked our director, Fritz Kurz, who comes to some of these conventions with us, and it's really great when he does because he always has interesting information. But she goes, I've been asked to, look at this movie, but it's with Arnold Schwarzenegger and some sci-fi thing, and he was just a joke, And she was like, I don't know if I should do it. And he goes, I don't think you should. That sounds stupid. You should stick with, good movies like Children of the Corn. But anyway, she did it. Good for her, Linda. And she was great in it.
Yeah.
so are you a horror fan?
Yes.
Are you,
In my own
you're
way.
a horror fan?
I grew up
Okay.
watching horror, and I love horror movies, but I am a fan. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. And that's pretty big. So that was your first full feature film. Did you do any shorts or any micro budgets or anything before that? Or was that
No,
your first
I just
full
did
thing?
theater. I was in a Bachelor of Fine Arts theater program at USC, and I studied acting in theater, and all we did was plays. And I did a bunch of plays in UC Santa Barbara before I transferred to an acting conservatory. And then when I got out, I just did a couple of plays in LA. And I think the second play I did I got a manager out of it, and he got me an agent, and my agent got me on audition for a bunch of shit. I didn't get anything at first, and then I snagged Grandview USA, and I had some time before I was able to before I had to go to Pontiac, Illinois to shoot Grandview USA, which was by the way, was with Jamie Lee Curtis, who also did a horror movie early in her life, and then it turned, and then she did all these other movies. But as it turns out, I mean, she did a lot of really important movies like Grandview USA with me and Patrick Swayze and Tommy Howell and John and Joan Cusack. I mean, we had Jennifer Jason Leigh. We had a really important cast. But and Jamie Lee Curtis was the lead with Patrick Swayze. But she had also done a horror movie before that. And it turns out later in life, her horror movie is really something she's probably the most famous for.
Sure.
As I am probably, like you said, in horror circles, because I'm a horror fan, more famous for Children of the Corn than I am for Grandview USA. But Grandview USA is a beautiful movie.
It's so funny when we talk to actors all the time for our podcast, and we hear this a lot that you have a lot of bigger name actors, and they're like, I've done all these big movies, but what's really helped my career is these horror movies. Because we work all these conventions, and the fan base is amazing, and I love that so much. That makes me so happy.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I have friends that were also in really big movies with really big movie stars and names. So was I. But I mean, they didn't do any horror movies. They know I'm going to do this convention, and they're like, or a convention. I did 10 this year. I'll do 10 next year. They were like, can I get in? I go, did you do a horror movie?
I love it.
You can't come.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not part of the club, so you got to be part of our club.
Everybody feels the same way. We feel so lucky. We made these decisions. Out of necessity. Yeah, I need to do a movie. I need to practice, or I need to do a horror movie because I need the money. I'm broke, or I need to do this movie so that I can do this other movie. And then it turns out that the horror movie is the one that you're still, earning dividends from. I mean, it's unbelievable. We're so grateful all that, because I was with a bunch of horror movie actors last night. We all feel exactly the same. We're so grateful we did those jobs, and we didn't know. A lot of them are like some guy's in a mask, and he has no idea what's going to happen. He's just kind of embarrassed, and then it turns out to be the calling card of his whole life, and you just don't know. We're so grateful for horror and horror fans, and that we were a part of it. We sometimes, I don't know. It's surreal. It was surreal last night for sure.
Oh, that's so fun. That sounds fun. How old were you in Children of the Corn?
Let's see, 40 years. I'm 64 now, so I was 24 years old.
Oh,
24.
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
24 playing 19.
Oh, playing 19. Okay. Well, you play. It's easy to play off. You did really great,
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
they should have shaved my chest, but yeah, it would have been other youthful look. I
That's
late bloomer.
no, it's awesome. No, it's totally awesome. And Children of the Corn. Now, what about Return of the Living Dead? So when I told you, I was like, oh my God, these two movies have so much nostalgia for me. So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you my quick story on Return of the Living Dead. And Mike, I apologize because I just told this story. I feel like last podcast, maybe the podcast before. So every Halloween, I have particular movies that I watch every single year. People have horror movies they watch every single Halloween, and Return of the Living Dead is one of those movies for me. And the reason one of the reasons I watch this is I have this amazing memory as a child. I'm gonna say I was probably maybe about 4 or 5 years old, but back when you used to go to the video stores and when you could rent VHSs.
Right.
I remember it was New Year's Eve, and my parents were going to a New Year's Eve party, and they're like, okay, so we're on this party, so you can go rent movies, whatever movies you want, we're going to rent them for you, so you can just go and sit in the room and do your thing. And I went straight to the damn horror section, and it was the cover of Return of the Living Dead. I was like, I want to rent that movie. And my mom was like, I think you should rent Care Bears. I was like, nope, no, no, this one looks good. And my mom allowed me to rent this movie.
Wow.
And I watched it. And so it brings back so many memories of childhood. I have the coolest mom ever. And
Yeah.
she's going to listen to this podcast. She's like, be sure to send me a link. I want to listen to this. So,
Good. We're all still connected. I love it.
yeah. So awesome. So that brings back, God, so much nostalgia for me. So tell us a little bit about Return of the Living Dead and how you got that role, and just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I just picked up like 10 of these VHS cassette tapes that have Return of the Living Dead and on the other side is Children of the Corn as the covers on them. And
You got that from Bronson.
That's right.
Brutal
You guys were down
Arts.
there. You were with me
Yes.
when I met them.
Yes.
That is the coolest little gift. I mean, I bought 10 of them. I'm going to sell them, but they're so beautiful. Now, this is
They are beautiful.
VHS with those titles, reversible as the paper cards,
I'm gonna Mike, when you post the podcast, I will take some photos of these VHS purses that he's talking about, so everyone knows. So I work conventions. We have a convention buddy. He's Brutal Arts, but he's got the coolest thing, Mike. I think you remember him. He has these VHS tapes that he turns into purses.
Oh yeah,
and you can put the slip covers of movies in.
Exactly.
So we all worked in at the Memphis Monster Con together.
Right.
And he had them there. And you know what drew me to Return of the Living Dead as a child was the cover.
Right.
That's what drew people back in the day. And so when you get this cover and you put it on this purse, it's just amazing. It's totally cool. I love it that you bought several of those from him, because those are amazing.
Like, send me 10.
Amazing.
I want 10.
Heck yeah.
It's
Awesome.
such a great idea. But anyway, that movie, Return of the Living Dead, is next year's its 40th anniversary. So next year, I'm going to travel around with the whole cast, and we'll go everywhere. We'll do 10 conventions, I'm sure. All, Vegas and Atlanta and Chicago, and I'm sure we'll get down to the South, Florida. Anyway, the Return of the Living Dead cast, I mean, it was another situation where there was a writer's strike and the production was going to shut down if you weren't cast in something. It was a summer and there was a strike looming, and we were very, I was auditioning for it because I wanted a job. I just wanted to work. I always wanted to work. I was just going on every audition. I think it was the fourth or fifth movie I ever auditioned for, and I had to, that I got, I mean, and I had to, it wasn't the fourth movie I auditioned for, but I did. But we had to I had auditioned with different actors about a couple of different times. Dan O'Bannon was pairing us up, and the casting director was trying to find chemistry between different people and, see how people responded to repeated scenes. It also helped him a lot with shooting to see these scenes over and over again. And then finally, it took a while, a lot of callbacks, a lot of working with different actors until I got the offer. And then after I got the offer, we started rehearsing. We had to rehearse quite a bit. And that was the greatest thing. We're so lucky we got to rehearse, so that when we got to shooting that movie, where things are going crazy, there's so many things going on, and we didn't know what was the hell we were doing, really, basically. Like, he would just tell us what to do and we would do it. And it was radical. And I just remember it starts, we're dancing around a cemetery, and we're driving around in a car for a long time, and we're walking in the street, then we're driving in a car, and then we're dancing in a cemetery, and a girl takes her clothes off, and I look up, and she's got some kind of cover on her vagina, but it's flesh colored, and she looks like a Barbie doll, but she's right in front of me, and I was like, oh my God. And they shot the rehearsal. I'd never seen it before. I didn't know, you're going to be looking up at a girl who's naked, except that she's got a plug in her, a merkin inserted into her vagina that covers the genitalia. And I was like, they didn't say that. And if they had said that, I don't know if it would have changed anything. All I know is I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was really fascinating thing to see if you've never seen anything like that before. And I hadn't. So they got that moment on film, and it was radical. And then right after that, it starts to rain. And so the water rain machines came out. But what happens really is the PAs, all the people that are working kind of for free in these night shots, come up with hoses and buckets of water, and they just dump them on everybody who is caught in the rain. That's me, Jewel. And we were just hosed down from that point till the movie ended. Every night, all night, before every scene, we had to get hosed down, and I'll never forget it.
That is so crazy. So I'm not even going to lie to you. I totally did a rewatch. I just watched this last month or month before last, because we're in December. But
Sure.
I just watched Return of the Living Dead earlier today. I was like, I'm going to watch this because we're bringing John on.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I never thought anything about it, but when Lena Quigley's doing her dance and stuff, I'm like, dude, this is like the 80s, and she doesn't have a bush, but that makes sense if she had a little piece on. Oh my gosh, that is so crazy.
Yeah, it's very like Dan O'Bannon, like that guy, Dan O'Bannon. He kind of envisioned the future. He predicted the future with that movie. No pubic hair for girls, and also comedy and zombies make a good match. So comedy, he's the first comedy zombie movie.
Yeah.
And the first thing of this is how women are going to look in the, 1995 on.
Yeah, well, he nailed it, didn't he?
He nailed it.
He nailed it.
I wish he was alive to see how successful that movie is, man. But he, Aliens is pretty successful too. So he's just a genius.
That's so awesome. So I want to kick it back just a little bit. Tell me at what point in your life did you know that you wanted to be an actor, and like where'd your inspiration come from?
I started acting when I was in high school in ninth grade where I grew up. I started by doing, being in a theater class and doing like monologues and doing plays and stuff. And I really loved it. I really got into acting in high school, but just acting with the local theater department, doing Shakespeare and going to festivals and competing. We did Equus. We won. My high school had a really good drama department, and we won a couple of contests, against other high schools, just like sports, where we'd put our scenes on. God, it was so exciting. In these classrooms, Beverly Hills High would have, and different high schools, we'd travel on a bus and we'd do our scenes like 3 or 4 times, and we won Equus, and we had to do it on the stage in front of everybody. And I played the lead in it. I felt like I won like this whole, it changed my life. I just thought, fuck, I'm good at this. I love this. We just got, we just won. We're like state champions in drama acting in high school. So when I went to college, I kept doing theater, but I didn't think I could actually, I wasn't 100% convinced I could be a professional actor, but I just loved acting. So I was studying theater and doing plays, and I was doing really good in plays. I got some nice reviews, and I just decided in college, when I was a sophomore in college, that I was going to try to become a professional actor, on film and TV. And so I tried out for the USC theater department, and I got in, and I left Santa Barbara and I moved to Los Angeles, and I studied acting at USC and met, some people that were real actors, and just fell in love with the city of Los Angeles because I was a surfer from suburbia. I just hung out around the beach and surfed, and I didn't know that I could ever even live in a city, but I fell in love with city life, and I became a super urban, kind of just club punk rock kid that's studying acting and going to clubs at night. And it was so wild. And when I graduated college with a theater degree, I didn't know how to do anything but act. And so I just started doing these plays, and I got sober. That's what helped me the most. I stopped drinking when I left. I was total alcoholic, derelict, drug addict, and I stopped all of that the day I graduated college, because I went to college because my dad, thank God, rest his soul, paid for it. He said, I'll pay for if you go to college, I'll pay for it. If you don't go to college, you're on your own. As soon as you're out of college, you are on your own. And he just thought it was a weird thing to study theater, but that was what I was into. He also thought it was a really weird thing to surf so much. I was still surfing. He goes, when are you going to give up this surfing thing? And I was like, never. But yeah, it was, when I graduated college, I was on my own, and I stopped drinking and doing drugs and took it very, very seriously, 100% all in, doing plays and, auditioning. And when I got that manager, when I got Children of the Corn, Graham USA, and all those movies, Return of the Living Dead, I was all in. I lived for the time between action and cut. That's all I cared about. I lived my whole life around action and cut. And that I think helped me very much the first 10 years. And I was good for I had a good 10-year run. I'm very lucky. I had a great 10-year run. I ended up getting into some movies, that ended up being cult movies, which is very fortunate for an actor. Like North Shore is a huge cult movie, and Point Break is a huge cult movie. Return of the Living Dead and Children of the Corn are big cult movies. And Tombstone turns out to be another huge, great cult movie that people continually love over and over again. And I'm just really fortunate as an actor that I got to have small parts in those movies. So yeah, I was all in. And then after that, I kind of relapsed into drug addiction and alcohol when I couldn't get the kind of jobs I wanted, and I wasn't getting the returns on my efforts. I hit a slump, and I didn't have anything to back myself up, and I just got depressed, and I just felt like I lost and I ended up losing everything to drugs and alcohol. Everything I'd ever made or done or had, I lost it, and I was just unemployable. I ended up teaching surfing and ended up going to jail, actually, and I was like, God, I've lost my freedom. It's not an unusual story. Robert Downey Jr., who I see a lot in LA doing these, he does the same thing I do, but he works on a higher level because he wears the cape. But yeah, a lot of us had the same issues, and we all knew each other back then too. And I'm glad I didn't get taken out by those issues, and I got to live to see that horror conventions have become a thing, and it's a way for me to make a living. And now I can act again and surf and teach surfing, and it's been a fucking great life. I just had to manage my disease.
Oh my God, holy shit, what an inspiring story.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not unusual either out here. It's pretty normal, but that's my that's my story. Yeah.
I can see that totally. I totally. So are you from Santa Barbara? Is that where
No,
you're from?
I'm from California. I was born in Northern California in Monterey, and then I
Okay.
grew up in Palos Verdes, and I went to Santa Barbara to go to college for a year and a half, and then I transferred down to USC, and then lived in LA. I lived really close by where I lived when I was acting in Hollywood in the 80s. I've moved back to that neighborhood, and it's really fun. Now I'm married, and I have 2 cats and a wife. We live in Sherman Oaks, but we live right off Mulholland Highway. Mulholland is the most famous street in Los Angeles, and it's also, I think, the best. I like to ride motorcycles, and I live in the coolest neighborhood now, and I'm just so lucky. I'm so fucking lucky.
Oh my God, that is so amazing.
I know.
And God, and kudos to your dad for
My dad,
supporting you,
what a great,
through college to be an actor. So my daughter just started college this year,
oh,
and I am paying for her to go to college, and
well,
she wants to be she's going to school for digital media,
oh, cool.
and I'm like, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. I'm going to support you, and I'll pay for your college, and you gotta support your kiddos,
Yeah,
So
good for you,
kudos to
Mom.
your dad. He'd be so proud of you.
He would. He was. He lived long enough. He just passed away 2 months ago, so he lived long enough to
Oh my God, I hate
get.
that. I'm so sorry for your
It's
loss.
okay. Don't worry about it. He was the greatest guy in the world, and I just love him dearly. I love him so much, and he was so good to me and such a nice man. But he was really, really cool, and I'm grateful. I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Awesome. So I have a lot, I have a lot more things to ask you. So I want to go back to like horror movies because that's kind of what our podcast is about. So you're a horror fan. You tell
Yep.
me. So you've become a horror fan. So do you have a favorite horror movie?
Oh God. I mean, I've seen what
It's kind of hard, isn't it? It's hard, isn't
Yeah, it is. I mean,
it?
I'll start from what I can remember from when I was a child, the things that formed my world when I was very young, were Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, The Wolf
Sure.
Man, Mummy, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then The Haunting, and then The Exorcist, and then Jaws, and then The Omen, and then like Black Christmas, and The Last House on the Left, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then as things got I love this movie called The Devil's House, I think, Ty West's first movie.
Oh yeah, Ty West. Yeah, sure.
I just went, this is fucking brilliant. But I saw a lot of Korean horror movies that were just great with serial killers and stuff. But then when they made, not Heretic, when they made Heredity,
Yeah, yeah,
Hereditary.
sure.
favorite actor. I mean, the movie stars are making horror movies now, like they cast movie stars in horror movies, which just blows my mind. But I guess, that's just what has changed. But when I saw that movie, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And The Witch and what's that movie where they go up to the north and they burn that guy alive and the bear, and it's called Somersville or Summer. It's about
Oh,
Midsommar.
Midnight Summer.
Midsummer.
No,
Midsommar.
Midsummer.
Midnight
Yes, it's all yeah. I,
Midsummer.
it's
Yes.
all the same director, like Hereditary, Witch. Am I right, Mike? It's all the same director.
Which
Yeah.
no, not the witch, but yes, Hereditary and Midsommar is directed.
Are the same. Yeah. That guy.
Okay.
Yes, so,
Just disturbing. I mean, so good. But I have seen Terrifier. I couldn't. That's not really a horror movie, but it's horrifying and it's terrifying. But it's I couldn't. I don't have the. I'm too old. I think it's brilliant. I'm so happy for those guys. That clown is amazing, and the director's just amazing. I love practical, but that movie's too gory for me. It's so gnarly. I couldn't believe it. I would. This
Yeah,
is what kids
it's
are
pretty
watching.
gory.
So I was watching, Frankenstein and Creature from the Black Lagoon, and they're watching Terrifier 3 and watching people get, cut in
Right.
half. And it is, and I'm like, wow, times have changed. It's amazing what kids can watch now and just love and enjoy it and have a good sense of humor and think it's funny and fun. And whereas older people are just puking and going, why would anybody watch that? So you're old. I know I'm old when I'm like, oh shit, the kids, Terrifier 3. Oh my God, come on. The youth, fear of the youth. I feel sorry. What's going to happen? Oh my God.
I love it. I love it. I think it's great. Hey, Return of the Living Dead. When I was watching it earlier, they got the scene where the corpse is on the little table. And
Yeah,
they're like, "What? So why do you want to do this?" She's like, "It's the brains." When she's all like coming out, I was like, "Oh my God, that's pretty good practical effects for 1985."
really good practical
I
effects.
thought it was great. I
Yeah,
thought it was great practical effects for 1985.
stunning. Is
That's one thing that I can say about horror movies today is that there's so much CGI. I'm not a huge fan of CGI, but I absolutely love practical effects and the
yeah,
work behind it. And I
everybody,
can take like
the
little
whole
things. Go ahead.
it's all about practical effects. Everybody hates
Yes,
CGI. God, I can't
yeah,
stand
it's
stupid
awesome.
CGI. It's just like immediately like, oh fuck, really? But they made some pretty cool science fiction stuff with CGI, so I can't knock it.
Sure. Sure.
Are you a big science fiction person?
No, but I mean, enough to like. I like sci-fi horror. I really
Yeah,
like aliens a lot, but
yeah.
I like this movie about when these aliens came, and I can't tell you what it's called, but they came to the planet and everything was growing, and guys in the military went into this area, and they came back and infected. And it ended, you didn't know what was going to happen, but it was with movie stars. And the movie star was a girl from Star Wars. She's Jewish.
Annihilation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yes. It's Oscar Isaac, who did a bunch of horror movies. He
Mm-hmm.
did the one
Yeah.
with the robot girl. That's great. Those robot girls he created, beautiful movie star girl that he created, and he's a movie
Yeah.
star and
Yeah.
in this little
Ex
lab.
Machina.
Yeah, you got it all, bro. You're so good. I love
He
you.
is.
Yeah.
I knew
Like
Mike was gonna rattle this off. I knew
he did
it.
Annihilation and Machina. Yeah. I mean, come on. That guy can do anything. I mean, he's in
Yeah.
those are great movies, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So so you mentioned earlier that you're getting ready to retire. So you don't
Oh,
have any projects you're working on.
yeah,
So are
yeah,
you
I
just
do.
doing like conventions and things?
No, I have a movie that's a horror movie, and it's about rehab. Actually, I really love it. I get to play a drug rehab guru kind of counselor who's really evil, and and we're using a plant just like in Annihilation to kind of like, well, I don't know if that was a plant, an alien species, but we're using plants and we're addicting kids to these plant medicines, and it actually is getting us too. And it's called People Pleaser, and it's really interesting. It's about rehab in Malibu, but I don't know where we're going to film it. So that's been fun to work on.
God, but that sounds like a good plot and really good for you with your backstory and everything.
Yes,
With yeah, that's a perfect role for you.
exactly. That's it. So the writer knows me, and the director knows me. He's writing it for me, which is a really good feeling.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So you haven't started filming yet.
No, we've just been rehearsing and changing the script and stuff.
So we should be on the lookout for that. Maybe what
Oh,
2025? Maybe
well,
People Pleaser.
I don't know. Yeah, look, yeah, 2025 People Pleaser. That would be great. But you'll see me before that. I'll see
Yeah,
mentions.
yeah. So we work a lot. You met Tracy. You met my boyfriend
Yeah,
at the convention. So when we're working, I was so busy running our booth, and I do this fairy hair stuff, and the actors the big name actors, they're wrapping up, and I was like, oh my god. I need to go talk to some of the actors. I haven't had time. I've been so busy. I was like, please go over there and talk. Like, please. I was doing a little girl's hair. So I do a little fairy hair at conventions. And he was like, I'll go in. And he goes, who do you want me to talk to? And I was like, I want you to go talk to John. Go talk to John and see if he'll come on our podcast.
mm,
So I am so glad he did. I'm so glad I didn't get a chance to meet you because I was working it, man. When we work
good for you.
conventions, I'm all about work.
That's
So
you. I love.
I'm so glad he went over there and talked to you
Yeah,
and
it's a
hooked up
job.
with you.
Good job, but it's a job.
God, it is a job. It is a job. And so we work a lot of conventions, mostly in the Southeast. So you do conventions all over the United States though, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this year was good. I'm done till January 1st. My next convention is in Vegas in January, and then I think it's Atlanta or in February, and then Chicago, and I'm sure we'll go to
Well,
Florida days of the
well,
town.
that's what I was going to ask is what conventions you have coming up because a lot of our listeners they love going to
Yeah,
these horror
well,
conventions. So what do
I'll
you have
do
going on?
I'll do all the Days of the Dead. So it's Vegas, then Atlanta, then Chicago, I think, then Orlando, and I'm not sure where else. Those are the only ones I know of right now. Oh, maybe Santa Fe, and maybe there's a city, El Paso. So that's all I know about now, but I'm sure I'll do as many as Return of the Living Dead reunions will have us.
Oh my gosh, how fun is that?
It's
How
really,
fun is that that you get to like go and like just be around these horror people and it's like family and
yeah,
God, what a great time.
it is fun. I love it. I'm glad you like it too. That's how we met.
Uh,
They're really fun. Anyway,
Man, I never thought I would work horror conventions, but I've been such a horror fan for like almost my entire life, and it was just something that we were like, man, we could do this. We could work horror conventions, and so we sell a lot of horror merchandise, and I do fairy hair and do all these things, and God, I love it so much. It's almost like a the horror community is a thing. It's a
it
thing,
definitely a thing.
and you are definitely in the family,
I'm in the
definitely.
family now. I love it. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm happy to be in the family. It's really fun.
That's awesome. Mike, I've been super talkative, and that's my bad. Do you have any questions for John?
Uh, I won't keep him too long. So I noticed you do a lot of TV too. Is there any particular format that you prefer? Do you like TV versus movies, or movies better than TV?
I prefer movies to TV. TV's very strict on the what you say, and movies
Sure.
allow for more improv, which I like, and they have a looser schedule, and people are a little. It's not as much of a machine. I mean, those TV guest star episodes, TV movies are fun. I mean, I did a bunch of TV movies, and they were really fun. But you've really got to stick to the script. Know your lines. Everybody's very professional, and film is a little more laid back and artsy in a way. You know, people are really into creating a very unique moment each time the camera rolls,
Yeah.
whereas TV's, they know it. You're basically, there's not a lot of subtext in TV. You're basically mean what you say, unless you're lying intentionally. So it's a slightly different kind of acting, but I'd love to do TV. I always wished, I when I was coming up in the '80s, we everybody wanted to work in movies. Nobody wanted to work in TV. No, nobody. We were so dumb, just like not knowing about horror. Like those people that worked in TV, like those guys, like are so rich. Like there's movie actors that just can't get a job and can't make any money, and there's TV actors. They go to their mailbox. They've got 100 checks for $10,000 each, every day, 6 days a week from residuals, because they said, yeah, I'll do the TV show. They just knew. They went, I want to stay home. I was traveling, going to different, no, I loved it. I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing I would do differently maybe is like, try a little harder, to be more of a company man, more of a, not fight the system. It was so trendy to be like anti-establishment when I was coming up. But that didn't serve me very well. But so what? I got to be in some cult movies, so fuck it.
Oh yeah, and look at the outcome, dude. You're amazing, amazing.
Yeah, but
Yes.
guys that did TV are like they're laughing all the way to the bank. But that's not why I never. Nobody goes into acting for the money. They're just doing theater, and there's no money in that, and they just love acting. So they. But then when you join the business, you kind of. I just didn't. I wasn't really business minded, or I wasn't very smart about that it's showbiz, like Jack Nicholson would say. I wasn't very smart about the business side, but that's okay. I'm self-destructive, and I'm much better now. I went through a lot of stages to get relaxed where I am now. Now when I say I want to retire, I just want to get my Social Security and medical benefits on my birthday, which is April 27th, if anybody's counting. April
April
27th,
27th. It's
my
coming.
coming
It's
up.
coming.
Gotta
Yeah. So after you retire, are you still going to do like conventions and still
Oh
do
yeah, no, it
things?
doesn't change anything at all like that. It doesn't.
You're just not going to
It
act
doesn't mean
anymore.
anything. It means I get to immediate
It just means you get to
deposit.
draw Social Security, right?
Yeah, Social Security goes directly into my checking account, and I get free healthcare. That's all it means. I can.
Hey, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. That is so cool. I
yeah.
love it.
Stay alive, stay healthy, stay alive. Life's great.
I love it. Heck yeah, that's so awesome. For we have a lot of listeners out there. So for our listeners, if they want to like check you out and find you, social media, you're on social media because I think you and I started messaging each other on Instagram. So where can everybody find you on social media?
Well, Instagram and Facebook for sure. John Philbin on Instagram is so easy. That's the fun. That's the most popular thing that I do. Facebook I use for my family and friends back from high school and being old and stuff. But they should also see that movie on Amazon Prime. There's a movie called Undateable John, and I played John. It's my last feature film that I did where I was the lead of it, and it's pretty good. That's my favorite. It's not a horror movie though, but it's the latest movie I did where I was the lead, and that's kind of fun for me.
Okay, check that out. Undateable John.
Yeah.
Undateable John. Okay. All right, cool. We'll definitely check that out for sure. So for all these young actors coming up, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, just like I did. I mean, you got to take it very seriously. Live for the time between action and cut, and do horror movies. Like do student films. Work with your friends on acting things, projects, and stuff. The more you do, the better you're going to get. The more experience you're going to have. You don't have to wait to get cast by some casting director in Hollywood and for some studio film anymore. People are making their own films, and that's what you should do. You should just work on film and write if you can and shoot little movies, make little movies. That's all the successful people did when they were kids. And that's really popular right now. And it's so easy technologically, not for me, but for kids it is. That's what I recommend you all do. Post it on YouTube.
Post it on YouTube. That's what they all do now. That's all the kids do nowadays, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, awesome. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting to talk to you tonight. Oh my gosh, so fun.
Well, thank you. That was really fun.
Mike, do you have anything else, Mike? I'm super talkative
Mike,
tonight.
I feel bad for you, Mike. You have all the
Sorry.
answers. You have
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. No, we're really excited to talk to you because we are very big fans of Return of the Living Dead, Children of the Corn, even New Kids, and most of the horror movies that you've made. So, we're just really happy to have you on.
Did you like the movie Inception?
Sure.
Me too.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was such a good movie.
Yeah. Chris Nolan. Yeah, man. Yeah. He's good.
Yeah. So when you knew all the names of all those cool movies, I was like, "Oh, that guy's really got a good memory, good recall." Those are cool.
I just watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, that's good. Me too. I love it. I used to watch more, but God, I love movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. That's why we started a podcast together. I think Mike and I met, and we both loved horror movies so much that we just kind of connected. And he's a kind of retired movie director, and I dabble in like low budget movies. I do a little acting, and we both love horror so much that we're like, let's just start a podcast together so we can talk about horror. We love it so much.
You won't work a day in your life. You love your job. You love what you do. That's great.
We love what we do. Absolutely.
You're good at it. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so exciting to talk to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You're so inspiring to so many people, and God, keep doing what you're doing, and God, get that Social Security.
Yeah. Get that cheese, get that bread.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. God, awesome talking to you. And hey, I'm sure you and I are going to cross paths next time. Next time we're working an event together, I'm going to take the time to take a break and actually get out of my booth and come over and let's talk.
Good.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Cool.
Awesome.
All right, John. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
John Philbin. All right. Wow. What a great guy, huh? So candid.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Absolutely. That was great. I loved talking with him. He had so much good, insightful things to say, and such a great story of his.
Oh my gosh, yes. So great. So inspiring and man, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, that's all I have for 2024. Do you have anything else?
Wow, are we closing out 2024? What? Dang,
This is the
that's all I
end of
have for
20.
you, but I'm like, what?
This is the end of 2024. We talked about it earlier how been a great year. Let's hope next year is just as good for horror, and there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pipe. Hopefully,
Hopefully. Hopefully.
we shall see. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
So, dear listeners, go and be very
Hardcore.
until next time.
Until next time.
Later.
Later.
Wow, that's hardcore.
Nothing harder.
Hardcore Horror with Mike and Brigitte is a part of the Tennessee Horror Podcast Network.